TTC is best known for their standout silent switches such as the silent bluish-white tactiles and the silent frozen linears, but it'd be a mistake to ignore the rest of their switch lineup. So today, we'll be looking at some of TTC's most innovative switches. The Venus is the one with the orange top housing and the Neptune the blue one. I'll be discussing these two switches together since they're very similar on paper. They have nearly identical actuation and bottom out forces, with only a slight difference of about 2 grams between them. These are very light, all things considered, lighter than around 3/4 of all switches out there. So you'll notice that these switches just look a little different from other switches. These top housings are a little circular, but that's only where their uniqueness begins. Moving on to the interior of the switch, if you watch TTC's official video on these, they compare these switches' design to that of a high-speed train, which admittedly feels a little extra. But having used these, I can tell you that the typing experience does feel more considered and refined. Let me explain why. Most of the time, smoothness comes from factory lube and material choice. But that doesn't tell the whole story with these Venus and Neptune switches, since these feature some innovative design decisions. Here's a regular switch topping for example. Now compare that to the top housing of the Venus. You'll notice there's something jutting out here. This is a unique track structure in the Venus and Neptune switches. Throughout the entire keystroke, the switch stem will glide against this track. Now, to be clear, other switches have these tracks too, but they're in the lower housing. In standard switch housings, usually there's a little gap between the top and bottom housings, which in theory detracts from smoothness. This explains why TTC has used this traditional train versus high-speed train analogy to describe the differences between standard switches and the Venus and Neptunes. TTC believes the former is clunkier, while the latter is more streamlined. With the Venus and Neptunes, since the track begins and ends in the top housing, for the entirety of the keystroke, you'll be gliding against this track. Basically, the top housing is solely responsible for a smooth keystroke, and the bottom housing is solely responsible for registering keystrokes. I find that these switches feel more structurally smooth than most switches on the market, with minimal stem wobble. When it comes to price, these usually retail for nearly 80 cents a switch, but at Milktooth, we're able to offer them at 43 cents per switch. Our customers usually save 27% on average, but this time you'd be saving 46%. Plus, get free shipping on orders over $49. To get the best deals on these Neptune and Venus switches, make sure to click the link in the description. Plus, TTC has decided on an extended, silver-plated spring for the extra snappy feel. For reference, here's the spring compared to the Cherry MX Blacks. The difference is quite obvious. Another uniqueness of these switches is that they're 5-pin switches as opposed to the 3-pin switches you'll find in most of TTC's other offerings. Now, the bottom out of the switch isn't super harsh. It's not padded or anything, but it does feel soft, which I think is quite nice. When it comes to sound, I would say the sound signature is neutral to the deeper side of things, a bit of Thocky even. Again, since the Venus and Neptunes are pretty much identical, I'll just do a higher pitched build featuring the Venuses and a lower pitched one featuring the Neptunes. Here is how they sound. There are 2 switches currently on the market I would say are similar to the Neptunes and Venuses. The new North Pole V2s by Gateron is one of them. However, the main difference is that the new North Pole V2s just feel a bit tighter and chewier as a whole. Aqua Kings are kind of like Venus and Neptunes in that they both have a frictionless, gliding type of smoothness. But I say the Aqua Kings feel quite a bit heavier and it feels more lubed. In terms of sound, they're in the same ballpark. So I'll do a quick sound test comparing the Venuses, new North Pole V2s, and Aqua Kings side by side, so you can take a listen for yourself. But if you want an even quieter sound profile, make sure to check this video on our top 5 silent linears of this year. For now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.